You are looking live at Krueger and Ryan Smith, Dan Cotillo in the small box. It is Monday, and that means Monday Night Football. Wrapping up week 4 in the NFL. After this game, we are 1 month in officially the NFL season. And the rest of the
well, the band's gonna warm up. We're hearing
warm up.
We're hearing the national anthem. We just heard a little preview. I don't know if there's any bets on the length of the national anthem, although I don't know. Good, it's a pretty cool little setup we got going here.
Yeah, we're here at the what level are we on here?
The 3rd level.
Yeah, but what's this called? Like the
United?
The United level. That's right. The United level here at Levi's, and of course. To our right is the field, and to our left is the inside of the club. We're here on the 3rd level. Danny is sitting in his humble abode. But ultimately, what do people think about the game tonight? Danny, why don't we start with you? What's your thought on Niners Rams? The Niners are a slight favorite to win the 49ers. Yeah, 49ers are a slight favorite. I think 1.5?
1.5, yeah. I like the Niners tonight just simply because I think it's Monday Night Football. It's the Rams, and they're coming off a very, very tough loss where they really look poor. I think the pride of the team, Kyle, they're going to come out, and I think they're going to click. I think they're going to be sharp. I expect them to be sharp, and wouldn't surprise me to see them put up 2 scores of some kind in the first quarter tonight.
What we've seen in the first 3 weeks is half a football team, right? On defense, they're top 2 in points, top 3 in yards, really good pass defense, number 1 pass defense in pro football. Defensively, D'Amico Ryan's unit's been everything that you want. Offensively, though, I think they're like 28th in points, 23rd in yards. They're just struggling in every way imaginable offensively, and they've been kind of half a football team. Jimmy Garoppolo looked really bad last week in Denver. Even the passes that he completed, he struggled with his accuracy. But, man, the 49ers defense produced 9 3-and-outs against Denver. And you got to think that if the offense can get it revved up at all, and yeah, they won't have Trent Williams and they won't have Elijah Mitchell, but this offense still has Kyle Shanahan calling the plays. You got a veteran quarterback in Garoppolo. You got Ayuk, Debo, Kittle. They're all healthy and ready to roll. To me, this offense has got to get it going, and it starts tonight against this Rams defense on national TV.
How is that? Can everyone hear that music in the background? A little E40?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah, it's pretty loud, but hey, the cheerleaders got to warm up,
Cheerleaders.
All right, I'll turn the mic up a little bit. Sorry. Okay, there we go. It's done. Yeah, I'm fully expecting. Dan, that's a good call you made. The first drive, I will be shocked if the first drive does not result in points. I mean, they're going to have some beautiful scripted sort of situation. I mean, even in the Denver game, they did that. But as soon as they went away from the script, it was just, they couldn't get anything going and couldn't run the ball. And I don't know. I'll say I made a couple bets that I'm feeling very confident about tonight. One is Nick Bosa over 0.5 sacks.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't that a lock?
You would think against a relatively immobile quarterback. Yeah.
In this offensive
and the Rams
line,
pass 55% of the time. They only run it 45% of the time. They're the opposite of the 49ers. So they do throw the ball around a lot for sure. And you've got some new names on that Ram offensive line. I mean, Whitworth is retired, and they've got a couple other guys that are out on that line. So, the 49er defensive line should win up front. I think that there's no doubt in my mind that if the Niners, however this shakes out, 49ers D-line should win that matchup.
Any updates, status on Kinlaw and Armstead?
Not yet. Both listed as questionable. Armstead with the foot, Kinlaw with the knee. And, this is an area where the 49ers are very deep, but, will they be comfortable starting Kevin Givens and Hassan Ridgeway? I'm not sure. I know Armstead did not practice early in the week. I don't know if he went late in the week, but to me, Armstead is a force. He, in a lot of ways, is one of your best defensive players overall. Kinlaw is so key to stopping the run inside, but are the Rams going to run it a lot? I mean, that was the one thing last year in this week 10 matchup, the 49ers came out and made it a referendum on toughness, and they just came out with an 18-play drive. I think they ran it like 13 times in the 18 plays. And they just made it, as I said, a referendum on who's the tougher team. And I thought the Rams kind of fell into that trap. And then by the NFC Championship, by the time that game rolled around, I think McVay realized, hey, you know what? Let's not try to be the tougher team. We've got Cooper Kupp, and they can't cover them. Let's use Cooper Kupp. And then they used Cooper Kupp a ton in the NFC Championship game. Now, since that point, the Niners have added Mooney Ward. They've added Samuel Womack. Diamador Lenore has kind of grown up as a nickel corner. And I think the 49ers feel like their secondary is better. And also, you don't have OBJ. You don't have Van Jefferson. OBJ is still not with the team. He's nursing his injury. Van Jefferson's on the injured list as we speak. So, they're using Skoranek, one of their possession wide receivers, as a fullback and using him out of the backfield to try to confuse some teams. But the Rams are going to throw it, but they're just going to throw it to Higbee and Allen Robinson and Cooper Kupp.
Yeah, what's going on with Lenore? Did he just beat out Womack, or did Womack make some rookie mistakes what happened there? Because Womack was the guy coming into the season.
Yeah, I think they went with Womack at a preseason and then felt more comfortable going with the veteran Lenore. I think if you asked D'Amico, he'd tell you he's got a lot of confidence in both those guys. But Lenore has got, maybe a little bit more reliable, probably knows the defense a little bit better, probably a little bit more refined, where Womack has got top shelf swagger and physical ability. But, he hasn't necessarily been there and done it. So maybe they're being a little hesitant. I'll tell you the other thing I'm really looking forward to see tonight is I want to see Jordan Mason. The guy that's called JP Mason. I think it's time to see Mason. Mason runs hard. He's 230 pounds. He's hard to bring down. That's the guy that I think I'd like to see.
Wouldn't surprise me to see him get a TD tonight, maybe even early on, get close to the goal line and power it in with Mason. Also, what's going on with the cornerback? Was it Thomas, right?
Which one? The Niners or for the Rams?
Yeah, the Niners. I'm drawing a blank on his name. Is
Ambry Thomas?
Ambry Thomas. Don't see him at all, and he was the third. He was the higher pick than Lenore last year, and he was starting at the end of the year last year, kind of closed out the last 5-6 games with some real growth, and this year we've heard nothing from him.
Well, I mean, okay, so their number one corner is probably Mooney Ward, right, and then Emmanuel Mosley. Those are their starters. If they go to the if they're going with the nickelback, they're going to go with Lenore or Womack. Their backups at corner are, obviously Diamador Lenore, Ambry Thomas. So, I mean, they will use Ambry Thomas if the Rams go to any kind of a 3 or 4 wide receiver look. I think he might
is available next week, I believe, right? If he's ready to go and they like what he see in practice, he's eligible, I think, to come off the injured reserve. I know he's practicing now and his window's open, and they got to do something with him within the next week and a half, I believe, don't they?
I don't know the exact rules on what when they need to call him off that list. But, he's definitely a guy, him and Jimmy Ward are working their way back. That's the other thing, too. When Jimmy Ward comes back, do they operate out of a 3-safety look? Do they sit Tayshaun Gibson? Hufanga has established himself at strong safety as just an absolute force in the cover 3 as far as a box safety who reads run. And attacks the mesh point. So I would imagine Jimmy Ward coming back makes Tayshaun Gibson more of a backup. But I think
problems to have, though.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Good problems to have. The big thing tonight for me, guys, is, one, are they going to use Jordan Mason? Two, is Garoppolo going to show some better accuracy than what he showed in Denver? Those are all big questions to me. I mean, those are primary. And then also, I'd like to see Ayuk involved in the run game a little bit, just to get him a few more touches, because Ayuk is such a dynamic player. Colton McKivitz, we talked to him earlier this week. He steps in at left tackle. He's going to have some obligation, blocking Leonard Floyd. At times, it's going to be the bigger-bodied A'Shawn Robinson. Robinson, I don't think, has a pressure this year. So, he was so good for the Rams in the conference title game. But I think that's going to be interesting to see how Colton McKivitz stands up and how the Niner offensive line stands up ultimately to this Ram D line led by Aaron Donald up front. But it's not just Aaron Donald, right? Greg Gaines works really hard on the nose. A'Shawn Robinson, as I said, was phenomenal in the NFC Championship game. I thought he was, in some ways, the best player on the field. But then you look at their, and they'll go with a 5-man surface at times with Leonard Floyd and Justin Hollins on the line of scrimmage. But the depth behind, the difference between the Rams D and the Niner D is that the Ram D is really, really strong on the first line, and then when you get to the backups, it's a noticeable drop off. Where the 49ers have 5 or 6 linebackers that could all start. They got 10 or 11 D linemen that could all start. They've got 2 sets of corners, 2 sets of safeties. I mean, the 49er defense is just a whole lot deeper than the Rams defense. So, we'll find out. We'll find out tonight. How much depth matters. But people, BS News saying very cool to stream from the stadium. It's just like television. Yeah, it is. It's a perfect
live shot of the field.
Yeah, I'm trying to. Because I feel bad because the freaking lighting is so whack. You can't see it through the other camera, so I just decided to break out my phone. Sorry if I'm making everyone throw up in their out of motion sickness.
But yeah, we're out here, and they've already had the practice anthem, and the cheerleaders have practiced their song dance, and you get the TV people kind of preparing. ESPN's got their set here, and it looks like it just be the wind seems like it is blowing from north to south, and it looks like it's blowing pretty good at the top of the stadium. There's a pretty good breeze in this corridor,
a real drew.
But ultimately it promises to be almost a near perfect night for football, especially when you think about some of the weather that the rest of the country is experiencing. I mean, it's near ideal conditions tonight.
Is Joe and Troy going to be joining the live stream here shortly?
Oh, absolutely. We already made a reservation.
So hey,
all right, I'm going to stop there. But you can see the look how blue it is. It's a beautiful day, which is why it sucks that the lighting's kind of weird, but it is freaking crystal blue.
No clouds. Nice.
No clouds.
Yeah, this would be probably the best weather. I mean, they had pretty good weather up in Denver, but definitely the first 2 games, Chicago was a monsoon, and then it rained the home game against Seattle. So beautiful field conditions tonight, and should see probably some fast movement. Should be a fast track, as they say in horse racing tonight.
Yeah. One of my big questions, I was just looking at the betting line just in terms of expectations. So the Niners are lined at 21.5 points. How do you feel about that? Do you think they get over? I mean, they've now 2 games. They haven't gotten over 10.
I like the under. I mean,
under.
I like the under overall in the game. And as far as the 49er under, I'm not really sure.
I would like them to get to at least 24.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing about it is look for a defensive score in this game. The one thing that lit up the 49ers in the Ram matchup in Week 10 last year, the game here, was Jimmy Ward. Jimmy Ward got an early defensive touchdown, and that really set the tempo for the night. The 49ers came out running the football aggressively. And they did a really nice job. I mean, they ran it a ton in the first drive last year. And it was an 18-play drive, and they came out and they just absolutely made it just a fist fight. And, I thought that really benefited them, not only in that game, but in the next game as well, because I felt like McVay guys, allowed Shanahan to define this thing as who's the tougher team. And then in reality, the 49ers never last year had any way to match up with Cooper Kupp. And I think it was the second matchup in LA where they threw Cooper Kupp 7 passes and he caught all 7 passes. He was targeted 7 times and he had 7 receptions. So they never really slowed him down. I think when they got to the NFC Championship game, they realized, all right, it's not about who's tougher. Let's win the game. And they started isolating Cooper Kupp on the 49er defensive backs, and the Niners really couldn't measure up. I think if there's a big difference between last year and this year, it's the improvement of the Niners secondary. And Fonga's a much better player than he was last year at this time. Mooney Ward is probably the best player in their secondary. He's a dominant player. They're deeper on the corner. Lenore's better. Womack's better. Womack, of course, wasn't even here last year. So I just think the 49ers secondary is a huge improvement area. And I guess we're going to find out tonight exactly how improved the Niners secondary really is, because the Rams throw it 44% of the time. They pass it, 55% of the time. The Niners are the opposite. Niners run it 55% and pass it 45%. So the Rams are going to come out. They're going to throw. And it's a matter of, can the 49ers match up with their receivers down the field?
Yeah.
And can they put a little pressure on Stafford and move him off his spot? And maybe, because we've seen the numbers. Stafford, when you don't pressure him, carves you up. If you can put some pressure on him, he'll throw you 1 or 2 balls a game. He'll turn it over. He's kind of shown that.
He's actually got a higher, Jack Hammer put this out. He's got a higher turnover percentage last year and this year than Jimmy G, which is kind of surprising. That's another one I bet both of them to have a interception.
By the way, I did not miss a wager all weekend. I hit a 2-teamer in college on Saturday. Who was my 2-teamer? I took, I took the Oregon Ducks against Stanford, and I took Clemson against NC State on the tees. And those came in. And then I rolled it into a 3-teamer yesterday. And my 3-teamer was, I took a 3-team 7.5-point teaser. I took Green Bay, who were 9.5-point favorites. So I took 7.5 off that. So it was Green Bay by 2.
Oh, you barely made it.
I barely made it. They won by 3. And then I had the Eagles getting 1 against the Jaguars, and the Eagles fell into a 14-0 hole, but ultimately would cover that kind of easily. And then I finished up last night with the Chiefs. I took the Chiefs.
Nice. I had a
guess what the spread was in the teams for Chiefs Bucks.
9.
It was Chiefs plus 8.5.
Watch the red.
That thing covered. That game was never in doubt. Never in doubt.
Yeah. Hey, I had the Survivor League championship of Green Bay lost yesterday. I took Philly, and I was down to the other 2 that were left took Green Bay, and then in your league, Rye, all 3 of you guys
all 3 of us took Green Bay. Yeah,
took Green Bay. So, hey, here's an interesting stat that reading from Twitter. We were talking about the 49ers and Rams running and throwing ratio. When Jimmy G throws more than Kyle Shanahan calls runs, the 49ers are 7-13, 350 winning percentage. And when the 49ers run more than Jimmy throws, the 49ers are 23-1, 96%.
Where'd you get that?
I saw that on Twitter as well.
Dude, text me that, Danny. Would you text that? I'm going to use that when I'm going to be on with Damon and Ratto on 95.7 The Game later today. Maybe we'll I'll throw that.
This was put out by somebody that Grant retweeted.
So this is the one thing I'll say about that is that I saw that stat too, and it is telling to some extent, but also you can't fall into the trap of like people being like, when they run the ball this many times, they win the game. Because when you're winning the game, you run the ball more. So that also factors into it. When they're down, that's when he passes more than he runs. And when they're up, that's when they keep on running it. So I think it's a little bit of, you can get a little bit lost in that.
This is new, somewhat breaking news about 54 minutes ago. Warriors waived Max McClung and Trevion Williams. I liked Williams the other night. In fact, McClung both played well the other night.
They both look good. But did you hear they want to sign Ty Jerome, the former Virginia Cavalier point guard? I think they'd like to have a point guard that has more size.
Yeah,
that has the ability to be more like a Sean Livingston. And Ty Jerome, Livingston was 6'7". I think Ty Jerome's like 6'5", 6'6". I think they'd like to have, a bigger, as I say, a bigger number 2 point guard.
Right.
I know they've liked Ty Jerome for a number of years. And then there was another player that they also added today.
I mean, Lara, I totally agree with you. If you look back on the roster last year, that's one thing they were missing was like a backup true point. Because they had Poole, but Poole's kind of different. Like Poole's a hybrid. They were missing the kind of Livingston type guy. I think they have that in Rollins, but also, I think Mac McClung is going to be an NBA player for somebody. I like that Trevion Williams as well. But if you look, Dan, I'll give you the 14 names because you can only have 12 on the roster, right? This is
13 suit up.
13 suit up. So here's 14, and then it's like, who do you take out? Curry, Thompson, Draymond, Looney, Wiggins, Poole, Kuminga, Moody, Dante DiVincenzo, Jermichael Green, Ryan Rollins, Patrick Baldwin, Iguodala, and Weatherspoon.
Weatherspoon's the guy that's not got the guarantee, I believe.
I like Weatherspoon, but yeah he's like the 14th guy. So it's kind of like
he was 14?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought maybe he was 15. So that's your 14, yeah. I mean, they're going to also – it looks like there's another move with Williams being waived to make room for Anthony Lamb.
Yeah, Anthony Lamb, who played at Vermont. And I don't really know exactly what to say about Anthony Lamb because I haven't seen a lot of him. But
I tweeted out that they believe that Williams will hopefully clear waivers, and then they'll put him at Santa Cruz.
Oh, I'm sure they will. I mean, Trevion Williams had a behind-the-back pass. I mean,
nice. It was nice.
I mean, he's a real nice passer. But, Trevion Williams, someone who's saying, well, how would you compare him to Wiseman? I mean, Wiseman is 7'1", 260, and can run and jump. He's just an incredible athlete. Trevion Williams is 6'10", 265, and he's not the runner jumper. He's more skilled. He's got a refined post game. He's got drop step moves.
Sorry to interrupt you. We should probably give like a quick game prediction because we do have to be out of here by 2. Unfortunately, we're going to be coming with way more content later. We're going to go interview people in the locker or in the tailgate parking lot. It's going to be super fun. But yeah, we're going to have to jump off at 2. So you want to give predictions maybe?
Yeah, I'm going to say 49ers win this one, but I'm going to say it's going to be low scoring. I'm thinking maybe 23-13, 23-16, something like that. It's going to be the 49ers are going to hold in the red zone, force the Rams kick some field goals. I'll say 23-16.
I'll go 24-20.
Oh, he took my score. That's exactly what I was going to say. I'll come up with something different. Let me be different here because you guys are right there where I was. So I'm going to go Niners 27-24.
Okay,
you're showing a little higher scoring.
Alyssa Cal.
I was gonna stay lower. I was going 24-20 was my exact prediction. But
here's the thing about it, though. The one thing that sticks out to me is the Rams and the Niners are 2 of the bottom 6 teams in the league as far as pace of play. So they run it a lot. They don't speed it up. They typically are very deliberate in how they deal with the play clock. So for that reason, I'm going with the lower scoring. But You could be right, Danny, if there's a couple defensive scores mixed in there.
Yeah, I just want to see him win. I just want to see him play well and win.
Just win, baby. All right, and with that, I think we have to dip.
Yeah, we're gonna dip. We're gonna. Hey, if you're watching us right now and you're in the parking lot, Ryan and I are gonna be out in the parking lot, stopping by. We're just walking around doing some Art Man Presents type stuff in the parking lot, checking out the tailgaters, and then check me out at the Hilton at with Damon and Ratto later today.
Hey, we doing a show tonight too? Later after the game, or
we will. We'll do a little post game. We're doing a post game in London. For Talk Sport, and then as soon as that concludes, we will hit the road, and maybe we'll even stream on the way home.
Yeah, let's do that for sure.
We'll stream on the way home, and then maybe we'll continue that stream after we're home. So, Danny, we'll definitely connect with you later tonight.
All right, you guys have a good one. Go Niners.
Go Niners.
Go
Yeah, never met a man I've been scared of. Careful, you gon' get exactly what you asked for. Careful, whatever you bring me getting handled. I answer to no one, I don't need to hassle.